Hey there. I'm sure you're wondering what entrepreneur means. And no, it's not necessarily an insult to entrepreneur, but it is kind of crushing to the whole how do I become an entrepreneur trend. You see, this trend is like all other trends. It's going to rise and soar and then crash and fall once people realize that it requires work. Not to say I haven't done the same thing with many other things. This podcast is not a podcast. This is me and using my voice memo app as therapy. But if I had to put a pin on what this is and what it's focused on the many intricacies of my life, diving into the many relatable problems that we all have with money and purpose and life and making the most of things around us, and how to navigate discipline and what motivation is, why having faith is as necessary as it is to drink water. These kinds of things will be discussed here. I also am an avid car enthusiast. As of late, recording this, I am hardly one, but I do have a 370Z currently that I plan to LT4 swap with a beautiful drift/track setup, some meaty tires and some great adjustable suspension, all of the nifty features of having a standalone ECU, things like that. I know a lot about cars. I've been to the track many times, been to a bunch of autocrosses, been very involved in all of the car functions. I'm definitely not a trendy car enthusiast, so don't expect me to throw some fake wheels on a C8 and call it a day. I am definitely a man of culture when it comes to cars, Works, Rays, Blitz, HKS, Heritage, Tomei, those types of things. I know some of those have become trendy, but I've known about them for a while. I got into cars because my father had a Camaro when I was born, and he's had many Camaros since. Impalas, lots of General Motors, cool cars. Currently, he's working on some Camaros now. And I got into the Japanese scene instead of the American. But as you can tell by my goal of having a LT4 swapped 370, I definitely love mixing them together. I see the beauty in both. I don't think I'll ever own a General Motors vehicle again. Had a Cat Eye Silverado. What am I talking about? This is an intro. See, I like cars, but that's the proof, you know. I love talking about cars. I love talking about life and meaning and purpose and paths and making sure we're doing the right thing and being aware of our surroundings, being good people. That's where I hold my values. I'm also a health nut. I meal prep every single week. I meal prep my breakfast. I meal prep my dinner. Not because I just love doing it, because it is part of my goals. I do love doing it too, but it's really part of who I am and what I have to do to maintain my physique and keep growing and adding muscle, because you can only gain so much muscle before the time clock of life kind of runs out, you know, and starts maintaining, and then you start losing muscle towards the end of your life. It's inevitable, so I try to get ahead of it. I want to be strong for my future kids and family and whoever else needs my strength. So I'm huge on that. You know, I work out every day, every weekday. Sometimes I'll do something on the weekend, a 5-mile hike or 5K or something along those lines. But typically rest days are my weekends. Other than that, I know a lot about nutrition, macros, lots of things, of the things you should stay away from: artificial sweeteners such as sucralose, what stevia is, the lower calorie sugars, essentially, how they can build up in your system. But overall, I don't judge people for what they eat, because I try my absolute best to remember that I need to keep myself to my own standards and keep other people to their standards. It's important not to impose your own standards on other people, because we're human, we're emotional. That will inevitably make them mad. Unless they are a monk, they realize what you're doing, usually it angers them. Keep that in mind next time you're superimposing your own structure onto somebody else. That about sums it up. That's me. I like cars, I like health, and I like deep stuff. Um, Currently an engineer, and I want to get out of engineering. I want to do something else, whether or not that's cars or health or both. Or maybe it's this. But this is kind of the before, but also an intro to what is my podcast, Mantra Manure. All of these episodes are about 10 minutes. I try my best to keep it right at the 10-minute mark. Sometimes it's a hair over, sometimes it's a hair under. But that's what I go for. I know that, having 10 minutes of somebody's life is important. It's valuable. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just try to get out what I'm talking about and keep it short and sweet. Even for this intro, I'm trying to, honestly, this is off the cuff. I didn't even think I'd do this morning, but rate me based on that. Did I do good? 10 minutes. I think that's a good slice of somebody's life to make an impact on the rest of the day, because every single day is another brick in the wall. And not to make a Pink Floyd reference or like a Will Smith reference, that brick, you better lay it as perfect as you can, because you might be walking over a wall of those bricks someday, and if you half-ass yourself today, that might make you step wrong and break your ankle 2 years from now. So I'm going to take my own advice and make sure today is a perfect brick in this beautiful wall that we build of immortality and remembrance through creating memories and long-lasting relationships with other humans and plants, dogs, cats, ferrets, hamsters, reptiles, all types of pets. Leaving your mark. Leaving the place better than you found it. There's a lot of cliches that I live by, a lot of quotes, a lot of Stoic and Greek studies that I read. I try to read as much as my mind. Sorry, I'm tired. Currently, I'm waking up at 3:30 every morning and walking about 2 miles. It's I already had my caffeine and adaptogens, but lately it ain't been working. And I'm not one to up the ante on the caffeine. I just gotta push through. This is the intro. I know it's 10 minutes. It's basically an episode in itself, but I think it's a good good introduction to what is Mantra Manure. Have a great day, everybody. Use this last 30 seconds on yourself. Meditate. Silence.